finally time. The session that I've been most awaiting because I'm the lucky one who gets to, do a quick fireside chat with you. And of course, I can tell you that it's been a very heavy day for the audience. We've started with top bankers to, corporate India to spirituality. So, and the last session was energy. So I think this audience is ready to be energized by the both of you. So thank you so much for gracing us with your presence and taking time out to join us at the India Economic Conclave.
Thank you so much. It's lovely coming here any which ways.
Our pleasure.
So I believe, Ajay, that this is Tanaji, which you are about to release in Jan, actually marks your 100th film. You are clearly in the number game, not because this is just your 100th film, but also because, going back in time, you changed your name to Ajay. Devgan became G-A-N-G to G-N. By the way, we made a mistake initially in the agenda, and then we realized, oh my God, it's D-E-V-G-N, and we got it quickly printed. So clearly, numerology is something that you have, a great belief in, and it's clearly worked for you. Would you recommend that, people like me, ordinary ones, and, other plebeians also,
No,
follow this rule?
I wouldn't recommend anybody anything. It's just that I think it worked for me. I'm not sure. I mean, it's always the hard work. You have to work hard. And sometimes if by chance you try something and it works or it falls into place or things happen automatically, I really don't know. So then you start believing in it. And more than that, you say, why not? If things are okay and things
Who introduced you to it?
I have a few friends.
I see.
Somebody I follow.
And are you a believer as well?
I'm not a non-believer, let me put it that way. Like he said, I think things fall into place. This could be the reason, or your hard work could be the reason. I like to believe in free will. I don't believe so completely in fate. And I think that if you do something that makes you feel better or makes you feel safer, and it's not harming anybody, why not?
Actually, it makes you feel better.
Yeah. If it works.
Obviously, if it works. Then nothing makes you feel better.
If it doesn't work, change your astrologer.
So let me come to you, Kajol. May I ask how many films you've done? Have you counted?
I have no clue. I'm like way down. I'm quite lazy like that. So I'm probably in my 35th or 36th film or something like that. I'm like, 100 is too much of hard work.
But I want you to flash back in time, Kajol, and, look at the time when you were madly in love with Ajay, and, sorry, my bad. And, your father was very, very upset because he was like, why do you want to get married? Why do you want to get married so early? And you were, at that point in time, doing so well. He's like, why don't you work for a bit? And, marriage can come later. And it's such a refreshing thing to hear from a father, given the society that we live in. Tell me about that time and what made you get married so early?
Early is it's a relative,
Sure, yeah.
It's a relative question, honestly, because I started working when I was 16 years old. And by the time I was 24, I'd already been working for like 8 years continuously. And I'd been working very, very hard at that point of time. At least I thought I was working very hard. I wasn't working as hard as him. I'm still like 70 films away from that. But I felt like I was really, really working very hard. I didn't want to work so hard. And I felt that I had found the right person for me. And why not? I didn't see the reason to not do it. And I mean, nobody could come up with a better reason for it. If I asked somebody, they were like too young. I was like, no, I'm not. I don't believe that I am. If I'm old enough to work, I'm old enough to make that decision for myself as to when I should get married. And that is my decision to make. It's nobody else's decision. I think I was 13 years old when my mother told me that, you have to start taking responsibility for your actions. And if she gave me that freedom when I was 13, I didn't understand why anybody else's opinion counted when I was 24.
That's outstanding clarity. Wish many more of us had it. But, like they say, like all addictions, fame is also an addiction, right? and it's difficult to get off it. I mean, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe most stars, when they stop working or, they're out of the limelight, they suffer from major depression because they're so used to being in the limelight. How was it, you've never stopped working, so that may not be, a question I can pose to you. But
Yeah, but I do understand sometimes when you go out and you can't do things you really want to do, and you get hassled and you wish that, you were a normal person, you could go anywhere and do things. And then you realize that because you've not experienced that in your life, you want it. But if there is a day that you go somewhere and people don't recognize you, how insecure will you get? I do
Absolutely.
understand that also.
yeah, so how are you able to, straddle the
No, I
fact
totally, I understand what you're saying, but the point is that I was a famous child
Yeah.
because, wherever I went, whether it was to school or college, I was always Tanuja's daughter. I was always Nutan's niece. I was always known by either the faculty or the students around me. When I grew up, of course, when I was 16, I started working. So, of course, then it became about me. And it just continued. As far as, so for me, actually, I have not had a very great relationship with fame. I've actually had a horrible relationship with fame, as they put it. It was more something that I really struggled in my, in my first few years as an actor, because it was something that I was really, really uncomfortable with. I didn't like, people hassling me. I didn't like people pushing me around. I didn't like crowds at all. And, I couldn't take it. And it was something that I reacted to at that point in time also. I reacted in a lot of very, very public ways. Thank God we didn't have phone cameras at that point of time. So it's not on record. But yeah, and so fame is something that, you've probably always had. And now, I honestly don't think that there will ever be a time for any one of us where we are not recognized only because of social media. I think everybody is a star in his or her own right. I mean, we have so many people that are famous from YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or whichever platform that they, have a certain number of followers for. So I don't think that, everybody's famous these days.
That's right, which brings me to my next question, and I think it's a pertinent one because the kind of exposure we have today with stars, right, which we did not have, let's say, in the yesteryears, and there was this kind of enigma that surrounded the stars.
There was a mystery.
There was, and we
Yes.
really didn't know what happened behind the scenes. We didn't have them wake up and, give us their, so-called...
You always saw them in the best light.
Yeah,
You left
yeah.
it to your imagination as to
Yeah.
what they had for breakfast.
Yeah, there was no public display of affection with their, boyfriends or partners or husbands or wives, and we see that all. And while they become a lot more relatable to us, I think somewhat it also makes them, less superstar-like. And so,
I totally agree with you actually, because I have said this in quite a few interviews. I don't believe there are any stars left anymore. I don't believe that. I feel that everybody has become your next door neighbor, and we've all become kind of a little voyeuristic, aren't we?
Yeah.
To look into everybody else's life and want to know what's happening in their house and their homes, and
it's an addiction.
Yeah, it is. And I believe that. I totally believe that we don't have that level of stardom anymore.
What's your view, Ajay? Anyway, you're the
Yeah,
reticent one.
I totally agree with you, and I still keep myself a little away from all this in social media. I hate getting clicked.
Yeah, that we know. We really struggled with your picture, actually, because we were trying to get a picture of you to put it on our ad for IEC.
I'm also trying to find
at the
pictures
Times
of
of
him to
India
put
and the Economic Times to get our ad out, and
I
we
mean,
were
at home-
struggling with Ajay's picture because he
At-
never gets clicked.
At
so
home
it's a bit
also, when she
ironic.
says that let's do a picture, I'm like, I run away. Yeah, so I completely agree with you, and I feel that's why they were called stars, because stars are supposed to be up there. You can see them, you can't touch them, you don't know what is there, and that's the intrigue. And when that intrigue goes away, I think you lose everything. And it is always better, I felt, that if the audiences don't know you too well, what kind of a person you are, then it's easier for you to play a character. You know, you can become something.
Sure.
But if you know actually what I am and I'm playing a character, you start realizing he's not that person. I mean, he's something
You're too
else
human
actually.
then. You're too human.
Exactly. I try to stay away as
The
much as possible.
upside of that, though, I have to say that is, I believe that it is a line that we're balancing. I do believe that. I believe the upside of it is the fact that social media has also, in a very strange way, extended our longevity. I do believe that.
But also, I feel that it's gotten so many people. I'm not everybody, obviously. So you don't know where to draw the line that this person is famous or a star because of his talent or because of his talent on social media.
My rejoinder to this is because of the exposure that we have, right? And there's so much. Is there somewhere exhaustion and fatigue with actors and hence impact their shelf life actually as an actor?
I really don't know about that. But what I'm trying to say is that, I mean, it's not, you're not famous because of your talent. You don't know if you're famous because of your talent. Or you're just famous. So that's what I'm trying to say. So how do we draw the line? How do we come to know that you are known for your work or because you are very, or you're known so that you're very entertaining on social media? You know?
Yeah, but do we really need to know that difference? As long as you're famous, it's fine, right?
I think the first thing is no, really, you need to know. I mean, I really believe that your work should speak for you, and at least you need to have that satisfaction that you know
That
you
gives
are
you some
liked
security,
and you are
right?
known because
Isn't
you
it?
can do something good or bad, whatever, and not because you can speak and you can be on social media and you can just dance anywhere on social media and people are going to watch you. So, I mean, that's personal satisfaction. You don't know where it lies.
Right. Talking about, you know, the business of cinema and, you know, now that you're donning the producer hat as well, I believe you're also going to very aggressively look at the OTT world because that is the new world that we're now exposed to. What's your view in terms of looking at just the supply glut we are facing? Because, you know, we have just an exposure to so much content, whether it's big screen or it's OTT. Do you think somewhere a lot of good content tends to get missed because the discovery has to happen? And yeah, sure, if you're a big star, which we really haven't seen yet, and you know, I'm sure you'll disagree with me, but we haven't seen any real A-grade star do a OTT series yet. And I'm saying yet, right? And you know, when I was talking to people before I came, you know, before we did this fireside chat, they said there's a categorical divide that big stars don't want to be labeled as OTT stars, and it's not as fluid as it is in Hollywood. Maybe it's a more mature market, and you know, India celebrates its actors. I mean, you have godlike status. So everybody's pretty clear that if you've cut it in, you know, in the film world and you're an A-grade star, they will think 1,000 times before they sign, you know, a deal with an OTT.
Actually, that's not true. I mean, it's happening in Hollywood, as you said, because OTT started there long before it started here. So it's come in. They are still trying to, you know, gauge and step in and increase their budgets, which they're doing. And within the next 6 months, I mean, you'll hear a lot of such announcements where all the A-listers would be on OTT. People spoke the same way about television.
At one point
You know,
in time, yes.
the top stars, they don't want to be associated in television. You see it from Salman to Shah Rukh to everybody doing TV shows now. So it's changing. I mean,
It's a question of time. I mean,
yeah, 2 days back we finished a film on Netflix with Kajal. She's
You're starring in a Netflix
Yes.
original?
yes,
Oh,
it's
okay.
produced by us, and we've just finished that film.
Oh, wow, okay.
So things are changing. Things are really changing. And what I have been interacting with the OTT people is that they are all ready to increase their budgets to make big visual, big dramas where A-lister stars would fit in and want to work.
Would you say that the math compute, so given the number of you know, content pieces we're seeing, whether it be a web series or they be you know, originals or they be like big films, big cinema, would you say the numbers are justified in terms of the ROI?
What kind of numbers? The content number?
No, I'm talking about, so you put in so much money, pumping in money to get different pieces of content. Is it justified in terms of returns? Just because everybody is doing it, right? So the supply glut is pretty immense. So are you getting the returns as yet, or is this just an investment phase?
It all depends on good content. I mean, a lot of people are trying to make content, and who are just trying to make content for the sake of it and to make money are reaching nowhere. So it's just that, what is your intention? If you're trying to make good content and you are successful in making it, because every time you try to make a good content does not mean that it is good.
Yeah.
So whenever there's good content, it always works, and when it works, obviously people see, and when people see, there is money. So it's not about who's doing it, it's about what are the intentions and how you're trying to, and how well it is working out. So it's good versus bad.
Have sensibilities of audience really changed?
Completely.
They have.
They
They
have.
have evolved.
I
Or
mean-
is it just that there is now an opportunity for more
No,
distribution?
it has changed. You see, cinema is exactly what we do is we reflect the society. I mean, how society thinks, we adapt and we try to make films accordingly. So you see, in the 60s and 70s, there were films made with. Before that, it was independence. Then it was Saas Bahu. Then gold smuggling came in. Then ministers came in. Corruption came in. So whatever's happening in the
What's the
society.
trend now?
Now it's everything. It's you see. I mean, then terrorism came in. So now there are so many films coming out which are very relevant with today's society. So you try to make things which are relevant, and that's how we change. We don't decide what we should make. Actually, the audience decides what they want to see, and that's how things happen. So content keeps changing according to society.
Let me ask you a controversial question. We are, we're seeing so much content. We've seen a lot of good content, and thank God for that. But have you actually seen the progression of mindsets to ensure that such content is, made and delivered? Because do you think the ecosystem is supporting you enough to look at offbeat stories, look at offbeat topics?
It is changing. It is changing.
But
You
it is
see-
very tough.
It
I
is
mean, the
tough.
repercussions
Totally
are
agree.
hard.
See, basically, the bottom line is also, I mean, if you're making content, what is our job? Our job is to entertain people.
I mean, even with Tanaji, I believe that, you got into some trouble. So,
That's part of our country. I mean,
you've become
it's-
immune to it.
we don't. Do we have a choice? We have to live here, and we have to listen to people, and we have to fight them, or convince them.
But do you think there is
I mean,
enough fight
it's disgusting.
from Bollywood as an industry? Or do you think you cave in too soon? As an industry, not you in particular.
Kevin,
In the sense that, you cave in too soon, that we don't see a united front from Bollywood,
no, that is one problem with our industry. We are not too united. Yeah, that I totally agree with you, and that's very sad that I blame myself also for it. We are all not too united. We should be united. In fact, if you see, the South industry is very united.
Sure.
And if something happens to one, all the producers stand together, all the actors stand together. That's not the case here, and I just wish and I hope that is the only thing in our industry which needs to change.
But where does it stem from? Why is there that fear amongst, let's say, the Bollywood
I really don't
industry?
know. I think it's just the insecurities that if one person is doing well, I'm not going to do well, so I should be better than the other person. I think that is where everything lies.
Let me talk to you about, you've been vocal, both of you have been vocal about the Me Too movement. You've also seen in my opinion, we saw it at its peak last year, and then now we hear nothing. It's as though
Also
it's very
because
clean
it's
now.
a great moment. It's a great moment when
But
it
I
started.
think it was a failed marketing exercise. I mean, it didn't really work.
No. What happens is if something starts, and the moment is started by genuine people, and then it is misused by a lot of people also. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
So
sure,
there
a
are both kind
percentage
of
of it,
people.
yeah.
Not percentage. There's a lot of it. Lot of it. I wouldn't say. I mean, it nearly we would hear things. It had become nearly 60-40. If 60 was genuine, 40 was. Now, how do you? And in that whole scenario, those 60 genuine people, they get screwed in the bargain.
It's okay. Some sacrifice for a larger movement is all right.
Sounding a little
I'm
despotic now.
I'm talking about the women who are really genuine. They are all. I mean, they also.
I
get-
understand you're
yeah.
giving me the male point of view, But
Your male point of
he's
view. I'm
not
giving you a
male
female point of view.
He's giving you a female point of view.
I'm,
Because the female point of
I'm
view
saying an ex-woman who's really suffered, okay, and she has stood for the movement. And you see, and okay, people have known her and things like this, and she stood for her rights, and there are a couple of other women who try to make the same thing up, okay. So who are they harming? They're not harming the men. They're harming those women who are genuine.
yeah, sure.
So that's what I'm talking from the women point of view, that, you know, the genuine women get, I mean, in the bargain, they suffer. So that's what has happened with the Me Too movement also.
Yeah. Do you think it's been an effective movement?
Definitely. I think it has been effective.
It has been.
It has definitely
It has been.
had
People
its-
have become worried. People have become very careful of what is happening, including my own
you know, where
office.
you- I-
We
where
have
you-
we have people to monitor that nothing goes wrong. So those things have come into place, which is very good.
You're working together in Tanaji after, I think, more than a decade, right? Almost 11 years later. You, you know, and the fact that you've been married now for so long, how does it feel to, you know, to work together? How do you don your professional hat? You know, when you work together as actors and then go back home, and you know.
I think you extend your home to the shoot, and this time when we were doing Tanaji, it's home production, so it seems like, you know, you get out of home, you're on the sets, which is your office, and you go back home.
Do you have a point of view on working with your husband?
I think,
and after
I think
11 years?
we're working together at home as well. I mean, it's not like, you know, it's not
So there's
work.
no demarcation work in home.
For us, definitely not, because I think life becomes a little easier when you're working with somebody that you're living with as well.
Okay.
It's true.
You know, you are very also clear about the fact that you're really looking to celebrate unsung heroes. Where did this idea come from? And I believe you're going to be making a lot of films which are celebrating unsung heroes.
We always wanted to do this, and basically Om, the director of Tanaji, also came up with this idea that we have a lot of stories and heroes who people in our history, I mean, we don't talk about our history. We know the European history, we know the American history, but where is our history? I mean, even in the books in school, a character of Tanaji is like just not even one paragraph which used to be there, which is not there anymore. And he's not a state hero. He's a national hero. He's fought for the country, but people in other states don't know him, and vice versa. I mean, there are such heroes in Punjab, in Rajasthan, everywhere. So we need to make them national heroes, and I want the people to know that, you know, what sacrifices they've made for this country, and why are we wasting it? Okay, so the idea is to take them out and tell people that these are the national heroes which people don't know about. So that's why I want to start something like the Unsung Warriors.
I see. You know, Kajol is a bubbly personality. The whole world knows that. We know you're a very reticent character. But would it be too much if I asked you to shake a leg? Or would you like...
Too much. It's impossible. You can't make me do that.
You know, maybe if you like... Maybe
much is an
Maybe
understatement.
if we like play a song, maybe you can... Yeah,
I
no?
don't do it for films anymore.
You don't, yeah, you don't? You don't?
I hardly do
Yeah,
it
you're
for
also
films.
playing your age. One of the few actors who's okay playing his age, because a
Yeah,
lot
I'm
of
comfortable
your
with it.
peers are still playing very young boys, although, you know, they're no more young.
I don't think they're playing young boys. I think they're playing I think they're doing it with younger girls.
Well, before I let you go, anything that you want to tell the audience in terms of, you know, how they should be looking at content, how they should be evaluating content, because we are very, very judgmental, and we pass,
No,
you know,
see,
we
I mean-
pass
I mean-
very, very harsh judgments on,
Yeah.
on actors and their work. Although, you know, we
but
don't know
it's
the
really their right
the sea
to
of
pass,
cinema making.
It's really their right to pass judgment on content, because
We make it
if
so
I
that
turn
they
around-
can pass judgment
Yeah,
on it.
and I mean, it's good content, bad content. Everybody works very, very hard. So that does not matter. I mean, our hard work. When they want to watch something, they want to enjoy it. They need to get entertained. We make mistakes. We go wrong. But I mean, with hard work. So when we go wrong, I mean, content is not good, and they have the right to say that it's not nice. So I mean, I wouldn't say that. Please
And there are about 25 seconds left,
No,
so
don't,
let me...
yeah, no, you don't do that. You don't have to look at the
looking at that,
timer. No. Every person has shot that timer, so I think I can do it too.
We're not politicians.
That's true. At the turn of the decade, which is right now, and we are really entering 2020. Tell me, since you've been in the industry for so long, 2 things that you really loved about the good old days, and 2 things that you love about, today's day and age.
I think-
And also one thing you hate as well. I can't just ask you good stuff.
I think the best part was in the good old days, there was hardly any media. We could do what we want.
Hardly any media.
Yeah. They were, and when I say hardly any media, they
There
were
was a
there.
paparazzi, yeah.
But they were just 20, 25 of them, and we knew each and everybody by their name, so we could tell them, yeah, please don't, or they would understand, we would understand their problems. Now I don't know where media stops, because everybody who's on social media is media, because everybody is passing judgment.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's no demarcation left between the real media and people on social media.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, and it was a very close-knit industry. I mean, if we would fight, we would do whatever, we would make up, and it was less corporate. So I call this as what is good today is because
We
of the
actually
corporates
had,
coming in.
we did movies on a handshake, literally. So, I mean, I don't see that happening in today's day and time at all.
I mean, with the corporates coming in, today's times, things have changed. It's become more professional. Content has become good. So that's the good part now. But also, I call it as the global warming of the industry, because the business has become good, but that warmth has gone.
Sure.
That's what I
Sure.
feel.
Yeah. Kajal?
The one thing that I absolutely loved about that time was there were no camera phones. So that's the one thing that I absolutely loved about that time. I mean, we could sit, we could chill, we could have dinner without, somebody clicking us from an opposite table. That's also one of the things that I absolutely love about this time.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think that's made life like 20 times easier as well. So that's one like good and bad thing. So there's pros and cons for it. But yeah, that's one of the things that I love. One of the things I absolutely loved about that, when we started out, was the fact that, like he said, like we all sat around, but everybody sat with everybody. Like if we shot for a film and there were 150 people working on the set, there was no demarcation, there was no line that, the actors would sit separately or...
Spot would sit.
Yeah, spot would. Everybody sat together, we all ate together, we all chilled together, there was no vans. So we all sat on the set, everybody sat on the set all the time, 150 people working and standing and talking to each other all the time. I mean, it created a kind of a rapport that probably is not there today. Today when we work on a set, it's very, clear, we have to go to the van, after the shot. And it's like, you don't spend that much time with the people that you're working with. So yeah, that's the one thing.
That's right. I think that those are very insightful. And on that note, let me wish you all the very best for your upcoming film. And also, you're a great inspiration for working together and, being married, because we have very few of you left in the industry and actually even in the world.
Very few married.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.